All right, welcome everybody. I'm Wes Warren. I'm here with Greg Stanley, and we are from Whitehall Management. And we're going to be talking about bonus and how how many problems they tend to have. Basically, the most common ones is what we're going to cover today. How they go off the rails, how they end up frustrating doctors to the point where they just give up on it and quit. And we want to address those, but also cover reasons why you might want to figure this out and get it to actually work, what it actually means to a practice. So, Greg, if you wouldn't mind introducing to us some of the major problems that you see doctors get frustrated with.
Sure. Most staff, if given the choice between raise or bonus, would take raise. So in other words, they tend to initially weigh in on that side. And the doctor then gives some a raise and some not, and so forth. Doctors given a choice probably also avoid bonus. The exception being the doctor that says, okay, we'll do a bonus and I'll set the goal so high you can't reach it, which is really not a bonus because it'll never happen. So I want to talk about some of these and other downsides that can come up. I want you to know, first of all, that bonus is the only way forward. Let me explain that. Meaning that bonus is the only way you're going to see growth in your practice in return for money paid to staff. You give staff a raise, whether, give them double the raise you would have given them, it doesn't change. They're not going to engage at a higher level. It is with bonus, they start to feel like, well, if I'm going to have bonus, I've got to make this happen. So this person that's on hold on the phone, I need to get them off the hold, talk to them, get them in the office, help them pay for the care. In other words, all of a sudden it becomes a staff's issue. Staff engage with bonus. Without bonus, and you give them this raise, or maybe even double the raise, their mind immediately starts thinking about the next time they get to ask for more money. So this is the only way you're going to see more production come for the money you pay. We've seen a lot of bonuses come and go over the time. They go off the rails very easily because doctors are kind of glad to see them go when they fail. Staff can find ways to cheat or to make it more advantageous to them. And so everybody kind of feels like, boy, I'm glad that's over. Make no mistake, we've got to keep our mind focused on the reality that the only way forward is with a bonus. Make more, get more. If you want to get more, we got to make more. So we want to talk today about some of the things you want to watch for and avoid. Let me start with one that I see happening a lot. A lot of times a doctor looks out with his staff. There's 10 people and one of them working really hard. She's good at collecting on big cases. And he says to himself, I'd pay her a bonus. And she comes to him and says, is there any way I can have more money? And he says, well, let's do a bonus. And because it's 1 out of 10 people, he tends to over bonus. He'll say, yeah, I'll give you several percent, 3 or 4, or even I've seen 5% or more of what the practice grosses. And after that gets abused, then he'll throw in some kind of qualifier. You got to go beyond a certain point, but still it's one person. Everybody else is not engaged. Everybody else is not in the bonus. And he counts himself lucky that he's not paying that bonus to everybody.
Why would they do that? I mean, what kind of things lead doctors to pay one person a big bonus and not anybody else? Why leave people out?
One person kind of knows how to grab attention, sometimes how to really get things done quickly. And it doesn't go on forever, Wes. They've got to see some bonus pretty quickly if they want to keep being these stars. And so this one person shines real bright, captures a bonus, and hangs on to it. And the doctor says, these other people are lackluster, clock punchers. I'm not giving them a bonus. But the day comes when they find out they want the bonus or they want raises. They tend to end up trying to allocate money to that staff, either in the form of a raise or bonus, and realize it's kind of all going to this one or maybe even 2 precious people. That's a failed concept, and we suggest you not fall into that trap. Now, I said the way forward is with bonus, so you better learn some bonus principles, how to make it work. Number one, you got to get the bonus paid as quick as possible. Now, typically it's paid every pay period, but you got to calculate it at the end of each day. If I had a way to do it, I'd calculate it at the end of, lunch and then at the end of the day. So the shorter the time that elapses that they have to achieve bonus. Some doctors, again, in an effort to try to feel protected, will ask or will suggest that they have either a monthly or a quarterly bonus, or maybe even an annual bonus. That's not a bonus. That's just giving people a bunch of money for a time period. During that time, you may have raised prices or added 2 operatories or done something that made the practice increase without staff really engaging or making it happen, so to speak. So this idea that I'm going to keep the bonus from being manipulated, when I see the impact that bonus has on staff, even when they've manipulated it, it tends to almost work out. No, we don't want to be manipulated. The bonuses that we recommend aren't easily manipulated, but I've seen staff who cheat and will kind of secure a bonus for themselves. They become super motivated, almost like we always wish they would be. So they're trying to tell you something, that this is what they need. They need a carrot to run for. So though you might want raises instead of bonus, because bonus has a tendency to go off the rails or be complicated, make no mistake, that a raise is a way for staff to get more money and give you nothing greater in return. So I'm gonna strongly recommend you figure this out and then figure it out again, because it does tend to, things happen. We add associates, we've got more staff, we change locations, and all of a sudden the bonus doesn't make the cut. We don't take the bonus with us to the new location, or somehow it gets put off and dropped. The worst is we haven't had it in a few months. Nobody's talking about it. It just kind of dies a quiet death. The only thing worse is when people come to the doctor after 3 or 4 months ago, we did it, we got bonus. And the doctor then says the dreadful response, oh, are we still doing that? No, bonus should be on or it should be off. My suggestion is figure out a way to get it on and keep it on.
With the new environment out there right now and all the I'll say lackluster staff that we're hiring, I don't want to say warm bodies, but a lot of you are faced with people that are new to dentistry or with very little dental knowledge coming into your practice, and in the coaching environment, without getting a bonus activated in the practice where they actually go, ooh, I can make more money, where they actually get excited about it and know that it's imminent, know that they can get it. It's almost impossible to train them, to get them to adopt new systems and to actually do the things that people were doing 3 years ago just on their own.
Couple of things to keep in mind when you bring on new people that may seem a bit marginal. Yes, the bonus can motivate them if you can, get them on it right away. But number two, when they come into a team that's going for bonus, it's kind of part of the culture. Everybody's clicking their heels and hurrying, focusing, and engaging. And they say to themselves, well, that's the way we do business here. So whenever the new staff see that, that's another thing that draws them, not just the bonus, but the culture also.
You should notice that. So if you're doing a bonus or you're thinking about doing a bonus, the one thing you should notice from your team is that where all of a sudden they're starting to worry about the production almost as much as you do, to where all of a sudden they're pushing and driving and adding stuff in, where you were the one thinking ahead, changing the schedule, manipulating things. all of a sudden you'll start seeing them do it. And that's how you know bonus is actually working. If you're not seeing that, it's either that, like you said, it's too hard to get, or it's just they feel like, hey, this is never going to happen, or it's become an entitlement. It's too easy to get. It's got to fall in this middle zone where they still have to work for it, but they know they can get it. And that's the secret.
Wes and I talk to these people every day, that is your staff. And one of the things we see is if they're on bonus, they have a tendency to take careful notes, pay close attention, and ask a lot of questions about how they can get more patients through their practice. When they're not on a bonus, they have a response of, I've heard all that, I don't need anything. And they just go back to punching their clock. They kind of have a sense that right now the job market's strong, and they don't need to really, really hustle to make you want to keep them there. So getting the bonus, really, it's like finding the canal on a root canal. Sometimes there's an extra canal, you're afraid you're going to miss it. And yes, some of you will. Wasn't I diagnose this all the time? One of the things you run into is a staff person turning up their nose at it, saying, I don't want that. That's meaningless. It's too small an amount. And I would say, yes, there is amounts that are too small, and we're expecting them to jump up and be excited because of that. You're saying, well, Greg, that's going to cost me money. Yeah, but if you set it up right, they have to make you a lot more money to qualify. Another problem is you've got somebody in there with a bunch of personal problems, and they are just intractable, unmovable. Nothing's going to move them. And if they're not moved out of their place and somebody comes in instead of them, everybody's stuck.
Yeah, I'm dealing with an office right now in that situation where there's a team member at the front that is not carrying the load and has dug their heels in to make sure that it doesn't happen, really. If you leave that person in place, if you don't act and make a change, everything is off the table. Growth is certainly off the table, but the morale that you're hoping for out of your team is off the table. Everything just stops. I mean, until that person's gone.
A weak staff person or somebody that's kind of negative for the bonus can slow you down. But typically it's only the doctor that can actually bring it to a stop by complaining loudly when the bonus is actually earned, or trying to come up with a way to cheat people out of it by closing the office early, 2 days of the month to keep the staff from getting the bonus. That's how they see it anyway. So staff can slow it down, but doctors can actually kill it. So
Yeah.
don't let that, or don't be guilty of that. And because you haven't figured out how to keep the bonus on the track doesn't mean it can't be done. I've seen people make a science of this. They're changing the bonus all the time. They have different bonuses, and staff are super, super excited to be employed by that office.
Definitely got to tinker with it. So one principle, like you said, is to keep it almost daily. I mean, we're big on daily. We're big on do this, get this, instead of these lofty monthly goals. Those tend to frustrate doctors more than anything, and I guess the team. Those tend not to work. So stick with daily, and stick with things that you can measure and pay bonus on.
When you set a daily goal, it tends to become or kind of morph into a same-day service goal in a way. So let's say you have 10,000 on the book, and so you set a goal for 13,000. That means we're going to try to make 3,000 more than we have scheduled. Now, a lot of you, if you look closely, you'll find you're not even making the 10,000 that was on the book. So at least we're going to get that started and try to move forward. And say the staff make it 2 or 3 times a week, which is about what it takes to keep them motivated. You might be thinking, well, they're going to sandbag on the other days. Sometimes we see that, but be careful. Get an explanation of why somebody was moved or why they weren't put on that day. But for the most part, you actually come out ahead as long as those people really try on the days they do bonus.
Yeah, don't make the mistake of setting a daily goal. Like, let's say your goal is 160,000 for the month. You're working 16 days, so that's 10,000 a day. Okay, that's our goal. That's not how this works.
Right.
Because they will manipulate that. Like Greg said, they'll pack a day and then obliterate another day so that they hit bonus one day. You got to change the bonus every day. So if you come in at 8,000, maybe the goal is only 10,000. If you come in already over the goal, you got to put on 20% on top of that for them to hit bonus.
Right.
And days that are really weak, at 6,000, you might go a little under 10,000 and go to 9,000. Let's get to 9,000.
I saw a guy kind of sour on the bonus thing. He's tired of hearing about people doing so well. He said he feels stuck, and he gets sick about hearing people, constantly doing 2, 3, 4 times what he's doing. The difference is they've figured out their bonus formula. He hasn't. That's the difference. They probably both doctors and associates. They're equally capable, but one has a staff that's right on their heels, pushing that practice forward.
Yeah, we see that a lot. So a couple ways that the team can make bonus happen. One is that same day service. This is just like you said, where patients here, crown gets diagnosed and you squeeze it in. We figure out where the assistants, they move a little faster, they clean up a room, they squeeze it in. Everybody's motivated for it. That's one way we like to see it happen. The other is where they make room on the schedule. Patient is taking up a spot that if we move them up a half an hour, all of a sudden it makes a nice spot to move a crown into. Things like that is what makes it happen.
They have a production mentality that you've always dreamed of.
That's right. And those are the things that you want to have the team really looking to do.
You can't
manipulate the schedule. Yeah. Right. Manipulate the schedule, calling people, moving people up, bringing people in from tomorrow to today to hit today's goal. It's all about today. We don't worry about tomorrow. We'll move people from tomorrow or next week to hit the goal today, and we will capture all the same day service that comes in the office. Right. You get them thinking that way and you bonus them for it, you'll see remarkable changes in not only the production, but the attitude of the team. Like you said, the morale, everything changes.
I think it's kind of sad in some ways that all the media people are talking about really is inflation. We're even seeing inflation checks cut to people in different states for, inflation compensation. Getting your staff on board is the way forward. It's the last thing you'd think to do because it means offering them more money. It's offered for a price, the price being more production, but you can even build inflation into what you're asking them to perform for you. So, when you start getting staff fully engaged, prices can go up, schedules are filled, profit is solid. It's all the things you want. Now, some of this gets so technical and applies to you very uniquely. Wes and I are available to talk to you on the phone at no charge. All you have to do is set it up.
Yeah, there's a link that you can click that's sent out always. And we definitely welcome people with their questions, and we try to help people. So we do set aside a few hours every week to just talk with doctors that aren't clients, and we're more than willing and happy to talk to you about your issues.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.